Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Time to bring some focus to your favorite and not so favorite geeky films. Cam here and welcome back to Cam in Focus. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to Geek News Now, hit up Metallic Dice Games and use the code GNN for 10% off, and hit up rippedapparel.com and use the code GNN10 for 10% off. Let's get right to it. Every now and then, you come across a film that makes you rethink the artistic potential of modern directors. Yeah, you have your awesome blockbusters like your Dunes and John Wicks and onslaught of MCUs, but the one that I want to talk about in particular today is The Green Knight. Masterfully directed by David Lowery, whom you might know from his films A Ghost Story or the remake of Pete's Dragon. This film is about the story of Sir Gawain of King Arthur's court and his encounters with the entity known only as the Green Knight. From the very first shot, you know that this isn't going to be your conventional medieval fantasy story. The opening scene alone is enough to fill you with anticipatory dread. Now, first of all, I'm gonna say that this film was not at all what I was expecting. There's no big knightly sword fights or anything like that. It's a very slow, methodical fantasy film about one man's journey of growth and self-discovery. And I gotta say, I was captivated from start to finish. Now, I could go on about all the ways that this film follows the original story, the mythology, how you could almost liken it to an interpretation of Dante's Inferno or the Seven Deadly Sins, even though it's more about the 5 knightly virtues, but anyway. But there's one major thing I want to discuss today: the antagonist. Now, I don't mean the Green Knight himself. Technically speaking, he's less a villain and more so the embodiment of the narrative's inciting incident. The antagonist in this case is the world Gawain lives in. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in terms of storytelling, the antagonist is the opposing force against which the story's hero must fight. An antagonist can be just about anything. Most commonly, it's something fairly easy to describe, like in the MCU, where they're generally a person or something similar. In other films like Joker, Nightcrawler, or Sicario, the antagonist is a little tougher to definitively identify. Sometimes an idea is just as threatening as a villain. In this film, Gawain never actually physically fights anyone. The struggles he encounters are those created by the environment he finds himself in at any given moment that cause him to act a certain way, often to negative effect. The quest itself is the antagonistic force. Each step he takes in his journey creates a conflict in which he's forced to face an aspect of his personality that makes him deserving of the fate he's traveling to face. This idea is first shown to us during Gawain's initial meeting with the Green Knight. Eager to prove himself to King Arthur's court as courageous and formidable, he decapitates the Green Knight without question, even after being told that his blow would be returned in 1 year's time. Being overly arrogant and eager for glory and recognition, or in terms of the deadly sins, being prideful, this opens the door to a journey that challenges him not physically but psychologically. And the way his journey is filmed, oh my god, the cinematography! It captures perfectly how small and insignificant this man truly is in such a vast and chaotic world. It really nails home that the world is so much bigger than his delusions of grandeur. Each confrontation or misstep in his travels that he encounters forces him to acknowledge a part of himself that can be seen as disdainful or otherwise not worthy of knighthood, which is his ultimate goal. These events aren't the work of some physical antagonistic force that seeks to kill him. It's the world he lives in, creating scenarios in which his valor and honor are challenged, only to come out defeated in some way every single time. The reason that I find the fact that there's no tangible antagonist throughout the narrative to be such a profound idea is that it creates a story that's unpredictable and 100% character-driven. The entire story revolves around Gawain's choices and the consequences that result from them. So in a way, you could almost argue that Gawain was both the protagonist as well as the antagonist in this particular story. The main theme of this film is Gawain's cowardice and his thirst for honor and glory, and this idea fully comes to a head in the last scene of the film, which I won't spoil, that perfectly brings the choices he makes to their logical conclusion, only to have the rug pulled out from under us to show us why that conclusion is important to the continuing growth of his character. And if you're familiar with the outcome of the original story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, then it's clear how significant the climax of this film is. The Green Knight is a masterfully and meticulously directed fantasy epic that held my attention from the very first shot. It's absolutely dripping in atmosphere, and some moments legitimately made my skin crawl and unsettled me in all the right ways. Now, I'll say this movie isn't for everyone. It's very much an art house kind of film. Some directing choices might leave the casual moviegoer puzzled or even bored. But if you're looking for a cerebral, atmospheric, and dread-inducing film that tackles a tale older than, well, dirt, then I highly recommend that you give this film a watch. Whether or not it's your cup of tea in the end, it's still one hell of an experience. Well, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed my little deep dive into The Green Knight. I really found this movie to be incredibly fascinating. And to be honest, it was one of my favorite films that I saw in 2021. Have you seen it? What'd you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to Geek News Now and follow us on all forms of social media. Links for everything in the description below. This has been Cam in Focus, proud to be part of the Geek News Now network. Have a wonderful day, everybody.